Welcome to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Archetype guide. We are diving into one of the most adventurous and quirky decks in the game. Plunder Patroll is a lineup of fiend monsters split between crew members and ships, working together to control the field through quick and reactive plays. This archetype is known for its unique mechanic of summoning extra deck monsters during your opponent's turn, based on the attributes of the monsters your opponent controls or has in the GY. Whitebeard is your main combo starter and your best floater. It lets you special summon a Plunder Patroll monster from your extra deck during your opponent's turn, and if it's sent from the hand or field to the GY, you can special summon another Plunder Patroll monster straight from the deck. But after that, you can only special summon Plunder Patroll monsters for the rest of the turn. Best to use Whitebeard with your other sailors like Redbeard or Goldenhair to quickly access your extra deck ships and keep your plays going. Redbeard is your disruption tool and combo extender. It lets you, during your opponent's turn, special summon a Plunder Patroll monster from your extra deck that matches an attribute your opponent has, then equips itself to that monster. If it's sent to the GY, you can equip it to another Plunder Patroll monster you control. Best to use Redbeard on your opponent's turn for quick access to your ships like Bran, Mork, or Liss, setting up interruptions mid-turn. Bluebeard is your quick extender and hand refiller. It lets you special summon itself from your hand if you already control another Plunder Patroll monster. And if it's sent from the hand or field to the GY, you can discard a card to draw one. Best to use Bluebeard to link climb or as discard fodder for your Plunder Patroll ship effects, keeping your hand fresh while maintaining field presence. Black Eyes is your recursion piece and special summon extender. It lets you target a Plunder Patroll monster in your GY, special summon Black Eyes, and add that monster back to your hand, but you can only special summon Plunder Patrolls for the rest of the turn. If it's sent to the GY, you can revive a Plunder Patroll monster that's currently treated as an equipped spell. Best to use Black Eyes to recycle Whitebeard or Redbeard, keeping your resources looping every turn. Goldenhair is your best tuner and main setup card. It lets you send another Plunder Patroll monster from your hand or field to the GY to special summon itself, and it can also revive itself from the GY by discarding one card, though you'll be locked into Plunder Patrolls for the rest of the turn. Best to use Goldenhair as your go-to material for Synchro or Link summons, since it easily comes back for more plays. Dipsy Fiend is your attribute fixer and tech pick for flexible plays. It lets you discard a card, declare any attribute except water, and special summon itself to either field as that attribute. If you summon it to your opponent's field, you can also special summon a low-level fiend from your hand or GY. Best to use Dipsy Fiend when you need access to a specific attribute so your Plunder Patroll ships can be summoned more easily. Goblinberg is your basic normal summon extender. When it's normal summoned, it lets you special summon a level 4 or lower monster from your hand, then it switches to defense position. Best to use Goblinberg to get Whitebeard or Bluebeard on board faster for quick link summons or combo starts. Disguise is your warrior synergy piece for equip-based plays. If you have an equipped spell in your field or GY, you can special summon it from your hand. When it's summoned, it searches Cursed Copycat Noble Arms. And while it's equipped, it copies the level and name of another warrior monster on the field. Best to use Disguise in builds that mix Plunder Patroll with warrior or equipped strategies, letting you bridge plays between archetypes. Obsessive Uvulup is your niche Synchro support tech. It can banish a Synchro monster from your field or GY to special summon itself, or banish another Synchro to return itself from the GY to your hand. Best to use Uvulup in hybrid builds that run Synchros alongside Plunder Patroll, giving you recycling power for GY-focused setups. Xyz Sly Dolphin is your rank-up helper for Xyz plays. It can special summon itself from your hand when an Xyz monster hits your field, and if it's in the GY when that happens again, you can attach it to an Xyz monster as material. Best to use Sly Dolphin when focusing on the Xyz side of your Plunder Patroll ships, giving them more materials to stay active longer. Blackbeard is your main link monster and the heart of your extra deck plays. It lets you target one of your effect monsters to special summon a Plunder Patroll monster from your extra deck that matches an attribute your opponent controls or has in the GY, then equips that target to it and lets you draw a card. Best to use Blackbeard to start your engine on your opponent's turn, set up your ships and gain advantage while disrupting their plays. Liss is your fusion ship and main negation boss. It lets you special summon a Plunder Patroll monster card from your hand or spell and trap zone, and can also discard a Plunder Patroll card to negate and destroy an opponent's monster effect. If it's equipped with a Plunder Patroll card, you even get to search any Plunder Patroll card from your deck. Best to use Liss as your go-to boss for negating monster effects, especially when you've got equip cards ready to trigger that search. Bran is your fire synchro ship and spell trap removal piece. It lets you discard a Plunder Patroll card to banish an opponent's spell or trap, then add a Plunder Patroll monster from your deck to your hand. This becomes a quick effect when Bran is equipped. Best to use Bran when you need to clear back row or search key monsters like Whitebeard or Redbeard for your next turn. Jord is your water synchro pendulum ship and one of your most flexible options. When your opponent special summons, you can search a Plunder Patroll card, and if it's equipped, you can also special summon a Plunder Patroll monster from your deck. It can also recover a Plunder Patroll card from your GY and move itself to the Pendulum Zone. In the Pendulum Zone, it can generate tokens for both players by declaring an attribute. Best to use Jord for resource recovery and setup. It helps extend your combos and can even fix your attribute options for future summons. Merc is your Dark Xyz ship and your monster removal tool. It lets you discard a Plunder Patroll card to banish an opponent's effect monster, then add a Plunder Patroll spell or trap from your deck to your hand. This becomes a quick effect if Merc is equipped, and it can also detach a material to protect your Plunder Patroll cards from destruction. Best to use Merc as your mid-game control ship, banish key threats and search cards like Plunder Patroll Booty or Emblem of the Plunder Patroll to keep your field strong. Dragite is your general-purpose synchro support and spell trap negator. It lets you excavate the top 5 cards of your deck to bounce your opponent's cards depending on the number of rocks revealed, and if you have a water monster in your GY, it can negate and destroy a spell or trap effect. Best to use Dragite when you've got water monsters in rotation, perfect for rounding out Plunder Patrol's negation options. Frame Lord Omega is your utility synchro that disrupts your opponent's hand and recycles cards. It lets you banish itself and a random card from your opponent's hand until your next standby phase, and it can also return banished or GY cards to the deck. Best to use Omega early to mess with your opponent's hand or to recycle key cards like Whitebeard or Golden Hair for longer grind games. Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon is your massive level 12 synchro finisher. It lets you target a face-up monster on the field or in the GY and place it in its owner's spell and trap zone as a continuous spell, then later during the battle phase, you can destroy one monster and one continuous spell. Best to use Vengeance Dragon as a flexible boss in hybrid builds. It clears the board while also disrupting setup pieces. Mistar Boy is your water link monster and stat booster. It gives all water monsters 500 attack and defense, weakens fire monsters, and when it's destroyed, you can add a water monster from your GY back to your hand. Best to use Mistar Boy to recycle your Plunder Patroll monsters and give your ships a little extra power in battle. Muckraker from the Underworld is your Fiend Support Link monster and GY extender. It lets you discard one card to revive a Fiend monster from your GY, and it can also protect your monsters by tributing a Fiend instead of letting them be destroyed. Best to use Muckraker to revive your key pieces like Whitebeard or Black Eyes, keeping your Plunder Patroll crew ready for more boarding actions every turn. Plunder Patroll Shipyard is your main search and setup field spell. It lets your Plunder Patroll monsters gain 500 attack for each Plunder Patroll card in your spell and trap zone. You can also discard one card to search any Plunder Patroll card from your deck, and when it's in the GY, you can return a Plunder Patroll card from your spell and trap zone to your hand to set Shipyard back on the field. Best to use Shipyard early to search key cards like Emblem of the Plunder Patroll or Booty, and recycle it later to keep your advantage going. Emblem of the Plunder Patroll is your signature equipped spell and attribute changer. It gives your Plunder Patroll monster 500 attack and protection from targeting effects. You can also send Emblem to the GY to special summon a Plunder Patroll monster from your extra deck that matches an attribute on the field or in the GY, then equip the original monster to it for another 500 attack boost. Best to use Emblem when you need to access your ships fast, especially when your opponent's attribute gives you the right summon target. Plunder Patroll Shipshape Ships Shipping is your fusion spell and equip setup in one. It lets you fusion summon a Fiend fusion monster using monsters from your hand or field, and from the GY, you can banish it to equip an Emblem of the Plunder Patroll or another Plunder Patroll monster from your deck to one you control. Best to use Shipping to summon Plunder Patrol ship lists, then use its GY effect to instantly equip and boost your plays. Instant Fusion is your fast access to fusion monsters. It lets you pay 1000 life points to special summon a level 5 or lower fusion monster from your extra deck, but it's destroyed during the end phase. Best to use Instant Fusion to bring out Plunder Patrol ship lists for quick effects or to extend into a Blackbeard Link summon. Ocean of Regeneration is your revival tool for small water monsters. It lets you target and special summon a water monster with 1000 or less attack from your GY, but it'll be destroyed at the end of the turn. Best to use Ocean of Regeneration to bring back key tuners like Golden Hair, the newest Plunder Patroll for extra synchro or link material. Plunder Patroll Booty is your attribute fixer and revival engine. It lets you change the attribute of an opponent's monster, then you can either shuffle a Plunder Patroll monster from your GY into the deck or special summon it. If you control no Plunder Patroll monsters during the end phase, it sends itself to the GY. Best to use Booty to ensure you always have the right attribute for your ships to summon, and to recycle or revive your crew each turn. Plunder Patroll Party is your draw power card that rewards your equip setup. It lets you draw cards equal to the number of equip cards you control +1, then shuffle cards from your hand back into the deck equal to your equip count. When in the GY, if you special summon a Plunder Patroll monster from the extra deck, it can equip itself to that monster for a 500 attack boost, but only once per duel. Best to use Party mid to late game when your field is loaded with equip spells to refresh your hand and gain consistency. Pride of the Plunder Patroll is your payoff for winning battles. Whenever your Plunder Patroll monster destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you draw a card. You can also send it to the GY to either look at your opponent's hand and send a monster from it to the GY, or peek at their extra deck and send one monster from it to the GY. Best to use Pride to pressure your opponent after your ships dominate the field, perfect for gaining advantage and disrupting their next turn. Fiend Griefing is your GY control trap. It lets you target a monster in your opponent's GY to shuffle it into the deck, then you can send a Fiend monster from your deck to the GY. Best to use Fiend Griefing to disrupt your opponent's GY setup while sending key Plunder Patroll monsters like Whitebeard or Goldenhair to start your combos. And RGB Rainbowlution is your attribute and type manipulation card. Once per turn, it lets you target a face-up monster and change its type to machine while giving it all 6 main attributes at once. Best to use Rainbowlution to ensure you can summon any Plunder Patrol ship you want by giving your opponent's monster every attribute needed. The main goal of the Plunder Patroll deck is to summon the right Plunder Patrol ship monsters from your extra deck to counter your opponent's board. The core mechanic of this deck is summoning your extra deck monsters depending on your opponent's monster attributes. Using cards like Blackbeard, you can tag out your monsters during your opponent's turn to summon the patrol ship of your choice. Each ship gives you powerful effects like banishing cards, recycling resources, or protecting your plays. The Plunder Patroll deck shines in responding to your opponent's moves. Many of its effects are quick effects, meaning you can activate them during either player's turn. Cards like Merc can banish your opponent's threats, while Bran can discard cards to boost your ships and disrupt plays. Because the ships equip your crew monsters to themselves, you can keep cycling through resources without running out of fuel. The field spell of this archetype is the deck's main consistency tool. It gives all your Plunder Patroll monsters gain 500 attack for each Plunder Patroll card in your spell and trap zone, turning your small pirates into huge threats. Plus, it can recycle itself from the GY by bouncing a Plunder card from your back row to your hand, making it a never-ending engine of attack boosts and combo enablers. Sometimes you need to force your opponent into the attribute you want, and that's where Booty comes in. It lets you change your opponent's monster's attribute so you can summon the right Plunder ship for the situation. It also revives or recycles your Plunder Patroll monsters, helping you rebuild your field or recover key cards after a wipe. More importantly, crew members like Whitebeard, Redbeard, and Bluebeard are your main combo pieces. They all float when sent from the field to the GY, summoning or drawing more cards to keep your engine going. Combined with Blackbeard, these effects let you chain multiple plays in one turn and constantly adapt to what your opponent does. However, despite its fun and flexible playstyle, the Plunder Patroll archetype has a few weaknesses that can make it tricky to pilot in tougher matchups. Cards like Guzzin Match can lock this deck down completely. Since Blackbeard is a water monster, you won't be able to summon your non-water extra deck ships if Guzzin is active. This severely limits your options and prevents your main mechanic from functioning. Against control-heavy decks like Eldlik, Plunder Patroll can have a hard time breaking through multiple back row and negates. Continuous traps such as Skill Drain completely shut down your effect monsters, leaving your ships dead in the water. Until you remove those floodgates, your crew will struggle to keep up. A single kaiju like Gameseal can ruin your field setup by tributing one of your boss monsters before it gets a chance to activate its effects. Because the Plunder Patrol ships are key to maintaining field control, losing even one early can drastically slow your momentum. Cards like Dark Ruler No More or Veiler can completely disable your strongest monsters for the turn. Since your ships rely heavily on quick effects to react and protect, being negated leaves you defenseless, allowing your opponent to swing back with full force. The deck often recycles and equips cards from the GY, so effects like Dimensional Fissure or Macrocosmos can be devastating. With your main resource loop cut off, You'll quickly run out of ways to summon or equip your ships, leaving your pirates stranded. Therefore, Plunder Patroll Archetype is all about adaptability, timing, and resource management. It's a reactive deck that rewards smart decision-making and lets you turn your opponent's strengths against them. Whether you're tagging out into the right attribute ship or chaining quick effects to disrupt plays, this deck makes every duel feel like a strategic sea battle. So if you love pirate-themed decks, clever combos, and outwitting your opponent with a bit of trickery and teamwork, then the Plunder Patroll Archetype is the perfect deck to sail with. Hoist the sails, grab your crew, and get ready to plunder your way to victory.